July 2024, Santiago Bernabéu. 18-year-old Endrick Felipe Moreira de Sousa donned the iconic Real Madrid shirt for the first time. This was the moment he had dreamed of since childhood in Brasília, Brazil. Real Madrid paid approximately €60 million for him, including bonuses. The media dubbed him the new Pelé. Expectations were sky high. He conquered Brazil with Palmeiras, became the club's youngest goal scorer, won 2 Brasileirão championships, and scored in his first match for the Brazilian national team. Now at the world's biggest club, there was no reason he couldn't write his legend. However, in January 2026, Endrick had to board a flight to Lyon, France, not as a victorious hero, but as a lone player, a player who couldn't make it into Real Madrid's starting 11, a talent who played approximately 100 minutes across all competitions in the first half of the season, 11 minutes in La Liga, 11 minutes in the Champions League, 77 minutes in the Copa del Rey. The dream had turned into a nightmare. So how did we get to this point? How did one of the most talked about young players in world football fall from the Bernabéu to Ligue 1? To understand Endrick's decline, we must first understand his rise. Endrick was no ordinary talented youngster. He was a phenomenon. He shattered records at Palmeiras. He became the club's youngest ever goalscorer. At a young age, he won the Brazilian championship twice. He scored in his first match for the Brazilian national team, becoming one of the youngest players to do so. He wasn't just good, he was the most talked about and most anticipated talent of his generation. Real Madrid were aware of this. The transfer was completed in 2022, but Endrick couldn't join the team until he turned 18 in July 2024. Expectations grew over 2 years. Real Madrid fans watched his most important moments on YouTube. They followed every goal he scored for Palmeiras. They imagined him forming a Brazilian attacking trio with Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo that would dominate Europe for a decade, and when he finally arrived, the pressure was immense. There is no grace period, no adjustment period, no luxury of making mistakes. You are compared to legends without even playing a single match. Endrick was compared to Pelé, Ronaldo, and Neymar. Every touch was scrutinized, every missed ball was magnified, and at 18, playing for the world's biggest club, that pressure can be suffocating. However, Endrick's difficulties cannot be explained solely by pressure. The real problem was simpler. Real Madrid's squad was very strong. In the summer of 2024, Real Madrid signed Kylian Mbappé, one of the world's best players. Suddenly, Endrick was not only competing with Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo, he also had to compete with Mbappé, Brahim Diaz, and Arda Güler. The attacking power was absurdly high, and in a team built to win the Champions League, there was no room for development projects. Real Madrid's former manager Carlo Ancelotti is pragmatic. His job is to win trophies, not develop talent. He has made this clear to the public. At a club like Real Madrid, my responsibility is to win matches. When asked about young players, he emphasized that their development is a process requiring significant time and hard work. However, time is a luxury Real Madrid cannot afford. Every match is crucial. With Mbappé, Vinicius, and Rodrigo available, why take the risk of playing an 18-year-old? Ancelotti's rotation policy is clear: experience over potential. He trusts players who have proven themselves at the highest level. Endrick, despite his talent, had not proven himself in Europe. He was a gamble. And Ancelotti doesn't gamble when it comes to trophies. So Endrick sat on the bench, week after week, match after match. He watched his dreams fade away. Then came the injuries. A hamstring problem kept Endrick off the pitch for several months and caused him to miss out on important opportunities, including the FIFA Club World Cup. For a young player trying to break into a star-studded squad, injuries are devastating. They strip you of your momentum, your confidence, and your chance to prove yourself. And when you finally return, you find yourself even further down the pecking order. Is the player physically ready for football? Can his body handle this intensity? Real Madrid's medical team is world-class, but even they can't prevent every injury. The timing couldn't have been worse for Endrick. Just as he was starting to settle in, his body betrayed him. His dream was slipping further away. In December 2025, Real Madrid made a decision. Endrick would be loaned to Lyon for the remainder of the season. This transfer was presented as an opportunity for Endrick to play regularly and regain his confidence. However, it was also an admission of failure. Real Madrid, one of the world's richest and most successful clubs, had been unable to find a place for a player they had signed for approximately €60 million concluding bonuses. One thing in Endrick's favor was that he made an immediate impact at Lyon. He scored in his first match in the French Cup and won the Man of the Match award in his first few games. He made it clear that he was happy at Lyon, saying he felt at home and wanted to continue developing there. The pressure was off. He was no longer the new Pelé. He was simply Endrick, a talented young player trying to find his way. And in this environment, he succeeded. Endrick's story is not unique. Real Madrid is aggressive in recruiting young talent. but the process of integrating them into the first team is often painful. There are examples like Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo, but there are also numerous names who failed to meet expectations and faded into the background. This says more about the club's nature than individual players. Real Madrid's culture prioritizes results over patience. Time is always limited here. When a young player struggles, the window of opportunity quickly closes. Endrick learned this the hard way. However, beyond tactics, squad depth and injuries, there is also a human element to Endrick's story. He is still very young. He is at a stage where most people are trying to figure out who they are, what they want, and how to navigate the world. Endrick is doing all this while being compared to Pelé, playing for the world's biggest club, with millions of people watching his every move. This is not normal, it is not healthy, and it is not sustainable. The pressure on young footballers is immense. They are expected to be mature beyond their years, to handle criticism gracefully, to perform under scrutiny, but they are still children. They make mistakes, they have doubts, they face challenges, and when they do, the world does not forgive them. The media criticizes them, fans turn their backs, the club loses patience, and the player is forced to pick up the pieces. Endrick faced all of this. He struggled with the weight of expectations, the disappointment of sitting on the bench, the fear of losing his place in the national team, and the loneliness of being away from home. Countless young players have faced similar challenges. Some have overcome them, many have not. The question is, can Endrick overcome this? Carlo Ancelotti is one of the most successful managers in football history. He has won the Champions League numerous times. He has coached some of the best players of all time. He knows how to win, but he also knows that winning requires making difficult decisions. One such decision was leaving Endrick on the bench. Ancelotti has often been criticized for not giving young players enough opportunities. Club legend Raúl and some figures around Madrid indirectly raised the issue of how difficult it is for academy players to make the transition to the first team. Comparisons were made with the Barcelona model. However, Ancelotti's approach is clear. His job is to win, not to develop. Real Madrid managers are chosen for trophies, not long-term projects. Young players play if they can contribute. If they can't, the window of opportunity closes quickly. That is the harsh reality of elite football. Managers are judged not by the young players they develop, but by the trophies they win. Ancelotti knew this, and he acted accordingly. Endrick was left out of the plans, not because he was untalented, but because he wasn't ready. However, Endrick's story is not over. His loan move to Lyon has been a lifeline for him. It's an opportunity to start afresh, play regularly, and regain his confidence. And he has begun to seize that opportunity. His early performances at Lyon are promising. He is scoring goals, creating chances, and reminding people why Real Madrid made such a significant investment in him. The pressure has eased, expectations have dropped, and in this environment, Endrick is playing more comfortably. This is what he needed. Not the spotlight of the Bernabéu, but the relatively more sheltered atmosphere of Ligue 1. A place where he can make mistakes, won't be vilified, and can develop at his own pace. The question is, will this continue? Will Endrick return to Real Madrid in the summer and truly establish himself? Or will this loan spell be just another temporary stop in Real Madrid's ruthless system for young talents? The answer lies with him. Will he turn this process into a springboard, or will this story mark the beginning of a permanent departure? Endrick's story is a small reflection of a larger problem in modern football: how young players are treated. The game has become increasingly competitive, expensive, and risky. In this environment, the time allocated for development is shrinking. Clubs want immediate results, fans demand success, and young players are caught in the middle of these expectations. One day, they are hailed as the stars of the future. The next, they are pushed aside when they fail to deliver quickly enough. This cycle is ruthless, and it consumes many careers before they even begin. The prodigy archetype is always seductive. We love the idea of a young talent conquering the world, but we forget that they are human too, that they have limits, that they need time, support, and patience. Yet patience is one of the scarcest resources in modern football. That's why some talents survive, while many others are crushed under the weight of this system. Endrick is at a turning point today. He can use this loan spell to rebuild his career and prove he belongs at the highest level, or it could become another what-if story. The choice seems to be his, but as long as the system that forces these choices remains unchanged, similar stories will continue to be written. There will be more Endricks, more young prodigies who arrive with dreams and disappear under the weight of expectations.